Hello my dear students, I welcome you all to our channel Learn 24. So we have already started our human reproduction chapter and covered about male reproductive system. Okay, so we have talked about what and all it consists of, and in that we have covered the pair of testes, right? We talked a lot about testes, what and all it consists of and everything. Right, now moving on and talking about the second part, which is the accessory duct system in case of male. When we are talking about the accessory duct system, the main function of this duct system is to basically store and transport the sperms. Okay, so this duct system has the responsibility to store and to transport the sperm from the testis towards the outside through a urethral passage, right? So from testis to outside, these ducts are playing very important role for the transportation of sperm itself. So here you can see we have already seen the structure, that is the male reproductive system, but there is a difference here in this structure. Could you spot that difference? Everything is similar, right? But one thing is different, and that you can see here. So in the previous image, only the testicle was shown, right? In this image, you have an enlarged view of testicle. That is, here a cross section of testicle is being shown, and that is because here inside this testicle there is a lot of ducts involvement present. Okay, so we'll be studying the passage of how the sperm is moving from the testicle to the outside, right? So I'll show you each and every step in detail, and that too in a very specific manner. So talking about the involvement of the ducts which are involved in case of male, those are rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, vasa deferens and urethra. Okay, so if you have remembered from the last class, I have taught you an easiest way to learn this, right? So simply learning the first letter of each of these words, right? That is making a phrase out of this word, that is RVs are expensive and very unpredictable, right? So these are the system which are nothing but the accessory ducts involved in male. So talking about how exactly from this accessory duct the transportation is taking place. So like I already told, from the testis the sperms are being produced, right? So we are very clear with this information. So from the testis itself the sperms are produced, and we have already learned that from the seminiferous tubule specifically that sperm are produced, right? So inside the testis in seminiferous tubule the sperms are produced. So talking about its transportation, that is after producing in seminiferous tubule, what is the journey of the sperm from the inside towards the outside? That journey will be learning in a flow chart manner. Okay, so I have made a perfect flow chart for you so that you can understand in a really clear manner. Okay, so from the seminiferous tubule it leaves and it goes to a shorter tubule which is called as tubuli recti. Okay, so it moves to a shorter tubule which is called as tubuli recti, and which opens to a wider irregular tubule, and that is called as rete testis, which further opens to vasa efferentia, right? So till then this transportation is happening inside the testis. Okay, all of this is happening inside the testis. Okay, so this transportation is basically happening inside the testis, right? That is from the seminiferous tubule. It moves to a shorter tubule which is called as tubuli recti, and which further opens towards a wide irregular tubule which is called as rete testis, and then it opens to vasa efferentium. Then after that it basically moves outside the testis. Okay, so this is happening outside the testis. Okay, so it basically moves outside the testis, that is at the posterior side of testis. There is a structure which is called as epididymis. Okay, so the sperm moves through the epididymis that is present in the posterior side of the testis itself, and then it will go down and stay there for a shorter period of time, and then ascends through the abdominal and loop over the urinary bladder through vasa deferens. Okay, so then it moves through the vasa deferens to the urinary bladder, that is it loops over the urinary bladder. Alright, so let me show you this through the diagram, right? So like I told, it leaves the seminiferous tubule and it enters a shorter tubule which is called as tubuli recti, and then it moves to a wider tubule which is called as rete testis, right? So here it moves to the rete testis, then it basically moves to vasa efferentia, and then goes outside and reaches the epididymis, and then it goes down, stays there for a shorter period of time, and then ascends through the abdomen through vasa deferens and loops over the urinary bladder, and then it will be exposed through a lot of ducts. Okay, so it receives a duct from seminal vesicle and finally opens to urethra as ejaculatory duct. Okay, so in between, before this, they are being exposed to a lot of glands. Okay, and what are those glands we'll be discussing in a few seconds. Okay, so it receives a duct from seminal vesicle and move to the urethra as ejaculatory duct. So these ducts store and transport the sperm from the testis towards the outside through urethra, and finally it will end and open to urethral meatus, which is nothing but the external opening. Right, let me show you with the help of diagram again. So like I said, it moves through rete testis and goes to vasa deferentia, and then moves outside, that is the epididymis, goes down, stays there for a really short time and ascends through the abdomen, through vasa deferens, loops over the urinary bladder and being exposed to a lot of ducts and moves out through urethral meatus, which is the external opening. So these were some of the accessory duct which we can see in case of male reproductive system, that is the rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, vasa deferens, and then urethra. Right? Now, talking about the accessory glands. So I told before it goes out through urethral meatus, that is the external opening, it is being exposed with a lot of glands. Okay, so let's just study those glands one by one and try to understand what are its functions. So, talking about the male accessory glands, it consists of seminal vesicles, prostate gland, bulbourethral, or you can call it as Copper's gland. Okay, so let's just try to understand each and every function. So this structure, again, it's an NCERT book structure. This structure is a view of the pelvis. Okay, so this is the pelvis view of male reproductive system. Here you can see the seminal vesicle, that is the first gland. Then it will move on further and will be exposed to a prostate gland, and then it will move on further and then it will be exposed to another bulbourethral or corpus gland, and then it will move to the outside. Okay, so 3 glands is being exposed towards. So talking about why are these glands present. Okay, so what are they here for? So let's talk about them one by one. So the first gland is seminal vesicle. So seminal vesicles are highly rich in fructose. Okay, so talking about the function of fructose, fructose basically provides energy for the sperm, right? So for the sperm's maturity and motility, a high amount of energy is required. So that is why this gland will produce a rich amount of fructose, which will be helping for the providing energy to our sperms itself. And also there are some enzymes, and it also contains some amount of calcium in it, right? So they also contain calcium and certain amount of enzymes in them, right? Now let me tell you an interesting thing about fructose. So talking about fructose, fructose is not present anywhere in our body except in seminal vesicle itself. Okay, so it's not present anywhere else in our body. It's only present in the seminal vesicle, right? So these fructose, this detection of fructose in the female genital tract, this can be helpful for the forensic test identification in case of rape. Okay, so if in the female's genital tract this fructose is fine, then it can be a possible case of rape. So this, the fructose is basically used in forensic test identification specifically. In lot of cases we have seen also, right? Okay, so this was the interesting fact about fructose itself. Now moving on towards the second gland. The second gland is prostate gland. So prostate gland, if we are talking about its consistency, it's basically milky, and also it is an alkaline fluid. Okay, so it secretes a milky and alkaline fluid which contains a lot of lipids and enzymes. And also the major function of prostate gland is to help to neutralize the acidic medium of vagina so that the sperms can easily be entered. Okay, so the acidic medium has to be removed so that the sperm can actually enter and survive. So that is why prostate gland plays a really important role here, right? Moving on towards the third and the last gland, that is the bulbourethral or the corpus gland. This gland is basically helping in the lubrication of penis itself. Okay, so it helps in the lubrication of penis. So these were some of the glands: seminal vesicle, prostate gland and bulbourethral gland. Okay, so we have already covered the accessory glands, and we have already talked about the accessory ducts, and we have already talked about the testis itself. Now talking about the fourth part in case of male reproductive system, that is the external genitalia. Okay, so the sperm has to go outside, right? So that passage is through penis. Okay, so penis is basically made up of a special tissue. Okay, penis is made up of a special tissue which helps in the erection of penis to facilitate the process of insemination. Insemination is nothing but the sperms have been produced by the male reproductive system, that is the entire passage, and then it reaches to the external genitalia and it comes out of the penis and enters the vagina, where it will facilitate the process of fertilization, right? So that is what called as insemination. So this penis is playing an important role for the erection and also to facilitate the process of insemination, right? So at the end of the penis, you can see an enlarged structure. Okay, so this is the enlarged structure at the end of the penis. You can see this structure. So this structure is called as glans penis. Okay, so this particular structure is called as glans penis. Okay, so glans penis is an enlarged end of the penis which is covered with a loose skin. So this structure is basically covered with a loose skin which is called as foreskin. Okay, so the enlarged end of penis is considered to be glans penis, and that is basically covered with a loose skin which is called as foreskin. Alright, so we have completed the external genitalia also. So till now you have already completed the entire male reproductive system. It was easy, right? So we have another thing that we have to talk about males, that is the process of spermatogenesis. That we'll be talking about later. But before that, we have to cover the female reproductive system. Okay, so we will be discussing that topic in our next video. So I'll see you then, right? So bye bye and take care.